Hello friends, I welcome you to EPG Pathshala. My name is Dr. Amit Katoch and I am working as Assistant Professor in University Institute of Hotel and Tourism Management of Punjab University. Dear students, I would be taking the module on the cargo handling and operations under the paper Cargo Operations and Management. After completing this module, the students will be able to learn about cargo and its stakeholder organizations. That is, number 1, participants in cargo operations. Number 2, the receipt and delivery operations. Number 3, cargo handling equipment on board and in port. Number 4, types of terminals for cargo handling. Number 6, miscellaneous terms related to cargo handling and operations. And number 7, IATA Cargo Handling Manual, that is ICHM. And finally, GST and its effect on transport and logistics sector. Firstly, I will give a brief background. No matter small, no matter big, cargo handling is done at almost all the airports of the world by hundreds of companies. This, however, raises a question at the quality of handling at a high potential risk for deviations. IATA keeps going its work for developing standards to ground handling operations, unique and working processes and procedures, thereby boosting the consistency and harmonization across the globe. A maneuver aligned to Cargo Committee (CC) priorities work with the Ground Operations Group (GOG) and other bench groups. The IATA Cargo Handling Consultative Council, that is ICHC, helps in rendering a common platform to cargo handlers and airlines that are partakers of cargo operations. The urge and motive is to create processes and procedures that enhance and are beneficial to meet all aspects of cargo acceptance and handling. IATA does take into consideration the vital need of a secure, disciplined and effective management using and controlling load devices, that is ULDs. Each year about 300 million US dollars are spent on fixing the dilapidated ULDs, which are an outcome of neglecting industry awareness and training. ULDs stand as the most patronizing cause of damage to aircraft on the ground, says the IATA's Ground Damage Database, that is GDB. Yet another integral part of IATA's scope for cargo operations is the AML. Naturally, all those associated in the task, the stakeholders, care that the time taken by transportation from the shipper to the receiver has to be minimized. ICSC considered the matter and began executing different measurements to apprise those areas where processes could be ameliorated. IATA would after that share its views with the Global Air Cargo Advisory Group, that is GACAG members. Now I will discuss about participants in cargo operations. Cargo operations are all about loading and unloading of stored material from a cargo to a transport or transport to a cargo. There are many participants which take part in cargo handling, mainly importers and exporters. These handle the cargo from going in and out of the country. Ship operators, they are responsible for managing vessel performance bunkers quality and quantity pricing and ship routing, a good ship operator will have a keen eye on every element of a ship's operations chain. Trucking companies. These bring the material from the output market to the cargo. They work out on roads and highways. Railway companies. Here to talk of freight train operating companies, that is FTOC. These are the intermodal liner service operators and also private rail operators whose main aim is to keep themselves up in the market with increasing complicated operations, a growing call for automatic and or streamline manual processes, or a customer base that urge for more flexibility and enhanced legality in methods and processes. Inland waterway transport operators. These transport the material to diverse locations within a division. Custom authorities. They collect tariffs and control the flow of goods, including animals, transports, and hazardous items in and out of a country. Freight forwarders. Seemingly, it is a company that receives and ships goods via other companies. Custom brokers. Empowered by the nation, specific bodies assisting importers and exporters, these private individuals, partnerships, associations, or corporations are licensed and regulated to meet the federal demands governing imports and exports. Commercial banks. These bring offer to localists and companies. The receipt or delivery operations. Firstly, I would start with steps towards operations. To let any operation come to life, principles are needed to be set of receipt and delivery, where the receipt or delivery facilities documents are taken into full account. Following up with it, the receipt procedure for road transport, empties and specials by road. Delivery includes the same, the safety and security of the delivery, and receipts are very important. Signs of receipt or delivery inefficiency. Handling of the receipt and delivery cannot always have good faith. Signs of inefficiency might include queues of vehicle at the entrance, full parking, congested interchanges and container waiting yard, queues of vehicle waiting to leave, trains idle at railhead, more such signs showing the inefficiency of receipts and delivery. The receipt process. Alright, now let us talk about the receipt process. To provide an example can make the understanding easier. Considering a vehicle that arrives to some factory, he arrives at the terminal entrance. The vehicle is checked and directed to park out in the vehicle park. Thereafter, the driver presents the documents at the reception, where they are also processed. After that, the driver takes the vehicle to the gate where it is processed. Then the container of the vehicle that is carried all along at its back is lifted and stored to some other vehicle. The vehicle then returns to the gate and is cleared to leave. At last, the vehicle leaves via the terminal entrance. This is how the receipt process goes. The diversification between receipts or delivery. What is the main difference between the two? Well, These are the container routes and the mode of transport in such a way while retail and delivery the route is from one particular destination A to another destination B and the delivery goes from destination A to destination C, then destination B. Added, the mode of transportation includes that the receipts are usually by air or portal based, however, it could also be by airways and waterways. Talking the packing and unpacking, locations are distinct in a manner that packaging is done at the factory, while on the other hand, the unpacking is done at the retailers. Receipt of containers by rail and barge. The steps to take the receipt out of a container does propose the rules as beginning from when the train arrives at railhead, documents processed, then the containers are lifted from wagon, transferred to interchange in container yard, which is transported into the storage and the transfer equipment returns to railhead for net container. Cargo handling equipment on board and in port. The cargo ships or airlines arrive and depart 24 into 7, which denotes that the machinery and equipment is continuously in operation at the ports. It includes cranes, container handlers, forklifts, loaders, dozers, excavators, backhoes and tractors and is also referred to as CHE, that is cargo handling equipment. And surely, to align the ports with sustainable practices, the ports are retrofitting these CHEs with emission control systems or adoption of green technologies and procedures. The type of equipment required for a cargo depends on the type of packing or the nature of the cargo. Bulk cargo handling equipment. In order to handle the dry bulk cargoes, conveyor belts are used which are driven by power and assisted by hopper or grabs, which can be magnetic to handle the oars or otherwise attached to cranes or grantees. If we are transferring bulk sugar, in that case the grab is used and sugar discharged into a hopper feeded by gravity, a railway wagon or road vehicle. In the case of the grain, silos or elevators may be used which are run by air pneumatic suction which sucks the grain out of the ship's hold. Liquid cargo handling equipment. In order to handle the liquid cargo in bulk, such as crude oil and its derivatives, pipelines are used to transfer them from the tankers on the carriers to the tanks which are present on the shore. In order to transport the liquid cargo, the pumping equipment is present on the tanker storage plant ashore and not on the quay side. Oil cargo is discharged from the ship's tanks via the cargo piping system to the main ship's manifold, usually situated amid ships or either port or starboard side. From there, by means of shore-based loading arms, oil is transferred to the shore manifold and is then distributed to shore-based storage tanks on the oil terminal. The loading arm hose must be flanked oil tight to the ship's manifold so that oil spills can be avoided. General cargo handling equipment. Approximately all of the cargo, nearly 90%, which includes the general cargo in the form of merchandise, commodities and goods, is containerized and known as break bulk cargo. In order to handle it, cranes are only used which are on the quay, that is dock, or floating cranes, or by own machinery of the ship, that is cranes and derricks on the deck by means of shackles or a hook. There are many types of tools which is also known as loose gear, such as sling or strop, made up of rope and generally used to pick wooden cases or bagged cargo. For different type of cargo, various tools may be used, such as snorters or canvas sling for bagged cargo. Similarly, chain slings for timber or steel rails, can or barrel hooks for drums or barrels, cargo nets for mail bags, heavy beams for carrying heavy items such as locomotives, boilers or locomotive coaches. Apart from it, several other tools used such as dog or case hooks, plate clumps or dockers for transshipping different cargoes. Port or terminal cargo handling equipments. In order to move or transfer the cargo to and from the ship side to transit shed or warehouse or barrage or rail wagon or truck, a large number of equipments are present on the port, which are four-wheeled or tractors, which may be propelled manually or mechanically or electrically. The ro-ro tractors are used to transfer ro-ro trailers. The loading or unloading in the containers is done through quay-side container cranes or container gantries or shiptainers. In order to stack containers one over the other till 5 level, the equipments used are transtainers, straddle carriers, van carriers or forklift trucks. The various cranes used on the port are level luffing cranes, dockside cranes and mobile cranes for transferring and lifting the packages. Now I will discuss about types of terminals for cargo handling. Firstly, public terminals. The principle followed in public terminals is on a first come first serve principle and without any precedence in berth usage, except that all the paying priority tolls are mutually by all the shipping lines. For using the conveniences of public terminals in loading and discharging, tariff rates are charged depending on container handling or quantity discount rates for containers. Secondly are carrier leased dedicated terminals. In order to provide cargo services or facilities at terminals, lease contracts are also signed by carriers with port authorities and hence rent and facility charges are paid by the carriers to the port authorities. The port authorities may also authorize the carriers to install or buy container handling facilities at his own account to compensate for rents and facility charges. Joint venture of carriers and terminal operators. To establish a company, it takes a collective task of shipping lines and terminal operators or to make a joint investment in leasing container terminals or invest directly in the construction, operation of terminals and handling facilities by making a deposit and assigning to the port authorities in proportion to the whole handling charges as in the accord of the contract. Miscellaneous terms for cargo operations and handling. Berth, a place in which a vessel is moored or secured. Place alongside a quay where a ship loads or discharges cargo. Container yard, CY, a container handling and storage facility either within a port or inland. CY is the place where container carriers store containers and chassis, accept or deliver loaded containers and lend out empty containers or receive returned empty containers. Container Freight Station, that is CFS, a dedicated port or container terminal area usually consisting of one or more sheds or warehouses and uncovered storage areas where cargo is loaded or stuffed into, run, loaded or stripped from containers and may be temporarily stored in the sheds or warehouses. Custom House, a government office where duties are paid, documents filed, and so forth on foreign shipments. Bonded Warehouse, a warehouse authorized by customs authorities for storage of goods on which payment of duties is deferred until the goods are removed. Chassis, a frame with wheels and container locking devices to secure the container for movement. Pallet, a flat tray generally made of wood but occasionally steel or other materials on which goods can be stacked. There are two principal sizes: the ISO pallet, which measures 1 into 1.2 meters, and the Euro pallet at 0.8 into 1.2 meters. Gantry crane, a crane fixed on a frame or structure spanning an intervening space typically designed to traverse fixed structures such as cargo or container storage areas or quays, and which is used to hoist containers or other cargo in and out of vessels and place or lift from a vessel, barge, trucks, chassis or train. Spreader, a piece of equipment designed to lift containers by their corner castings. Rail mounted gantry, that is RMG, rail mounted gantry crane used for container acceptance, delivery and stacking operations in a container yard. Rubber tired gantry, RTG, gantry crane on rubber tires typically used for acceptance, delivery and container stacking at a container yard. Straddle carrier, type of equipment that picks up and transports containers between its legs for movement within a container terminal. Top lifter, forklift truck capable of lifting a container by means of its spreader. Side loader, a lift truck fitted with fitting attachments operating to one side for handling containers. Stack car, an articulated multiple platform rail car that allows containers to be double stacked. Stack train, a rail service whereby rail cars carry containers stacked too high on specially operated unit trains. Demurrage, a penalty charge against shippers or consignees for delaying the carrier's equipment beyond the allowed free time. Heavy lift charge, a charge typically imposed when special lifting gear is required to handle a given piece of cargo, which may be of either heavy weight or of large dimensions, often referred to as out of gauge when dealing with container vessels. Steve Dooring charges, fees for loading and stowing or unloading a ship. Terminal handling charge, that is THC, a charge made for a service performed in a terminal area, typically referring to handling associated with receipt, delivery or inspection of cargo via land-based operations. Now, after discussing all these terminologies, I would like to discuss about IATA Cargo Handling Manual, that is ICHM. The IATA Cargo Manual provides full set of instructions for all stakeholders of cargo industry, and the aspirants who want to join this sector can get good details from IATA Cargo Handling Manual. This manual also enhances the cooperation, collaboration, efficiency and security of the players of the cargo industry, particularly the airlines and the cargo handlers. About ICHM, the IATA Cargo Manual gives standard guidelines to all involved in cargo industry, the role of airlines, freight forwarders and shippers along with their responsibilities. All the operations involved in cargo industry are standardized so that all the procedures throughout the world remain same and move in a single direction to enhance the growth of the industry and to consolidate all the cargo handling procedures and align them with best practices. To make use of CSE, that is Cargo Service Conference Governance structure for speedy publishing, obtaining novel values. Also, the member operations manual help in alignment to the same configurations. CHM also adds the content that is not found in the IATA Ground Operations Manual IGOM. IATA Cargo Handling Manual brings all the individual cargo carriers on a single platform by including 90% of the information of the cargo handling manual of individual cargo carriers. And with this comes the standardization in IATA cargo procedures and operations. The ICHM have been customized particularly to the cargo industry, supported by the industry-wide survey. With regard to cargo handling agents, the operating procedures have been standardized to improve security along with their understanding and incorporation. It helps in controlling the expenses with superior competence and security. It helps in setting the highest standards in customer satisfaction through standardized procedures and providing services of the highest order. The standardized procedures are made to ensure that the purpose is met with prompt, secure and high quality practices. Airline GSA. How do you ask your cargo handling partners to use the CHM2? The operating procedures and operations have to be made consistent with the industry agreed standard, which helps in reciprocal appreciation and single audit process. The ICHM acts as a basic document for ISAGO, that is the IATA Safety Audit for Ground Operations, which results in safety and security in cargo handling. It also helps in improving efficiency and reduction in costs from the point of view of development, maintenance, distribution and oversight of cargo handling procedures. Airports. When using of the CHM, when promoting use of ICHM at the airport, in order to lay down the foundation to sound customer service leading to customer satisfaction and contentment. Further, simplification of cargo handling procedures, then maintaining the flow of cargo trade by reducing the intricacy in cargo handling. Also, it helps in creation and maintenance of brand due to efficiency in logistic and transport operation. Also, positioning of the cargo services to the highest standards. Freight forwarders and shippers. Now, when you are going to rely on the ICHM to guide preparation of air cargo, you can. The standardized procedures in ICHM help in clarifying the roles and responsibility of the forwarders and shippers before and after delivery. giving clear picture of the 90% operations of the carriers and also 10% variations which are exceptions to the rules, enhancing the content of the customers by minimizing the risk of the cargo shipments. Now I will discuss about GST and its effect on transport and logistics sector. The indirect tax system in India was very intricate due to involvement of a number of taxes, and it was also becoming useless and murky. The unique attributes of the tax system included was that it was uncreditable as there was no interchangeability or fungibility between central and state taxes, as well as the restrictions imposed due to law. And further, the assessee has to report to different tax authorities for payment, reporting and auditing after engaging in manufacture, sale and service of goods. The GST has brought a sea change in revamping the earlier indirect tax by plugging the bottlenecks of the existing indirect tax system. The most important change proposed in this system is that it has also led to one effective levy of tax on a business as compared to present manifold levies of taxes. It has levied a double tax by the center and states on the supply of goods and services. GST has substituted all the indirect taxes such as VAT, value added tax, CST, that is central sales tax, excise taxes and entry taxes, etc. Though BCD, that is basic customs duty, will stay on certain products such as petroleum, alcohol, tobacco, electricity and the real estate. The goods and services supply will be levied CGST at center level and SGST at the state level. For the interstate sales, IGST, that is integrated GST, will be levied by the central government and thereafter being shared between the center and the states. Further, GST also gives occasion to stakeholders to combine their warehouses and set up well-built conveniences which will further plug the inefficiencies of the supply chain. Also, the trade barriers would decline, such as inspection at checkposts, waybill filling and agreements under the entry taxes. Also, the GSTN will have an audit trail for transportation of goods outside the state boundaries. Now I will summarize the entire module. As a layman would tell you, cargo means goods that are carried by a large vehicle. The vehicles could be roadways, waterways or the airways, any else too if there was. Now getting the word operation along makes it a specific and a disciplined task. Cargo operations are being done everywhere as far as commercialization is concerned. It is not only about IATA that we discussed here, it is about all the transportation arenas that function through cargo. You cannot buy a star from the universe, but you definitely can a perfume that might exclusively be available in France. That's to you though, but to a multidisciplinary firm there are plenty of operations involved that have just been generated by a click on the web, like considering shipping or the air mail. As far as cargo operations are concerned, that's how they do it. Then there has to be a uniform system, some well-laid standards and a consistent check to its operations. And ICHM does that all. It cares all the functioning of cargo operations throughout the world. And surely the neo GST that we have introduced in 217 in India would consider despitefully a new ubiquitous approach to the cargo operations. Thank you and have a very great future ahead.